Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear devotees, for all those who led the chanting today. Start with our prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadeshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Okay, so we'll start another prayer today. Like we said a couple of weeks ago, we were singing Jagannath Ashtakam, that is the Lord Himself, and then we came next to Gauranga Mahaprabhu in the mood of pure devotee of the Lord. Right? So we prayed to Him, and then now we're going to continue further down in the disciplic succession, because the mercy flows. It's not an ascending process. Not with our own endeavors we can get the mercy, but mercy comes in descending process from the Lord to His servant, to His servant, through His servant, through His servant, and ultimately to us. So we are going down in the chain of mercy. So today we will glorify Srila Rupa Goswami, who was the foremost of all the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, the foremost disciple of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who left us this treasure of bhakti that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught him and his elder brother Sanatan Goswami. So this week we'll glorify Sri Rupa Goswami with this wonderful prayer. We are continuing from these prayers from Sri Narottam Das Thakur, who was our Acharya of Vandanam, you can say, because he gave us all these wonderful prayers. Okay, so we'll sing this. Shri Rupa Manjari Pada Sei Mora Sampada. Shri Rupa Manjari Pada Sei Mora Sampada. Sei Mora Bhajana Pujan. Sei Mora Bhajan na pujan. Sei mora pranadhana. Sei mora bharana. Sei mora pranadhana. Sei mora bharana. Sei mora jiva nirjivan. Sei mora jiva nirjivan. Sei mora rasa nidhi. Sei mora vancha siddhi. Sei mora rasa nidhi. Sei mora vancha siddhi. Sei mora vidhiradharam. Sei mora vidhiradharam. Sei brata sei tapa. Sei mora mantra japa. Sei brata sei tapa. Sei mora mantra japa. Sei mora dhara makaram. Sei mora dhara makaram. Anukula habe vidhi. Se pade hoibe siddhi. Anukula habe vidhi. Se pade hoibe siddhi. Nirakhibo idu inayane. Nirakhibo idu nayane. से रूप माधुरी राशि प्राण कुवलय शशि से रूप माधुरी राशि प्राण कुवलय शशि प्रफुल्लित हबे निशिदिने प्रफुल्लित हबे निशिदिने तुव दर्शन आही गरले जारलो देही तुव दर्शन आही गरले दरलो देही चिरोदिन तापी तजीवन चिरदिन तापी तजीवन हा हा रूप करो दया देहो मोरे पद छाया हा हा रूप करो दया देहो मोरे पद छाया नरोत्तम लोईलो शरण नरोत्तम लोईलो शरण श्री रूप मंजरी पद से मोरा संपद से मोरा भजन पूजन से मोरा भजन पूजन हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे प्रार्थना की जय श्री नरोत्तम दास ठाकुर की जय जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय Okay, anybody would like to read the translation of this nice prayer?
I can read. Babaji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Shri Mataji.
The lotus feet of Sri Rupa Manjari are my treasure, my devotional service, and my object of worship. They give my life meaning, and they are the life of my life. They are the perfection of rasa, and they are perfection worthy of attainment. They are the very law of the Vedic scriptures for me. They are the meaning of all my fasts and penances and my silent uttering of my mantras. They are the basis of religion and activities. By the purifying process of favorable devotional service, one will attain perfection and with these two eyes be able to see. His transcendental form is shining like moonlight in my heart, and my heart therefore shines and reciprocates. In other words, the ordinary moon lights up the night, and its shine illuminates other objects. But the moon of the effulgence of the form of Sri Rupa Manjari shines into the heart and makes the heart also shine back to the spiritual sky. This moon shines not only in the night time, but day and night. Your absence from my vision is like a dose of strong poison, and I'll suffer till the end of my life. Narottam Das Thakur says, please give me your mercy and the shade of your lotus feet. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Shri Mataji. Yes. So, like I said, this is a descending process. And Vandanam, as we have been mentioning in this series for many, many times now, that when we offer prayers open the doors of our hearts, right? Like this weekend when we had His Grace Jagat Sakshi Prabhu at the center, he was saying, and yesterday Pawan Prabhuji was reflecting on that we have three levels, right? Body, mind, and the soul. And like how Prabhuji was explaining, happiness is at the bodily level, peace is at the mind level, because he said we need peace of mind, right? But bliss, ananda, is at the level of the soul. And we open the doors. These are like the doors of our bodies, doors of our mind, and doors of our heart. So the doors of the body we open by following the four regulative principles, by engaging in seva, right? By no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit. So we're controlling regulative principles. that opens the doors of our body. And we do chanting, we take the holy names when we chant, we do our sadhana, morning sadhana, japa, as Prabhupada instructed us to chant and hear. We open the doors of our mind and the doors of the heart, you say, that is opened by the mercy of our acharyas, by the mercy of the Lord. That is not something that we can open with our own endeavor. That will only open by the mercy. And the mercy flows in the disciplic succession in a descending process from the Lord through his personal associates, through his servants. So that way we pray to the lotus feet of our acharyas that we may get a dose of a drop of the mercy from them, through which we will be able to open the doors of our hearts and eventually be able to go back home, back to the Lord. Okay, so let's continue. Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit, chapter 42 is where we are on now. And Prabhupada, we saw, is now back in London. And just as we were glorifying Rath Yatra process over the weekend, last Saturday we did Rath Yatra. This Saturday, past Saturday, we heard the glories from Jagat Sakshi Prabhu. And here Prabhupada is also doing the first Rath Yatra in London. And he was as blissful, as joyful, as youthful as an 18-year-old boy, during the Rath Yatra, and all his disciples were kind of amazed at the energy that Srila Prabhupada was radiating. He was dancing, chanting, leading kirtana on the street as an 18-year-old boy. That is how Krishna is ever youthful. So Krishna's devotees are also ever youthful. So Prabhupada, after leading the Rath Yatra, he's back at the Bhaktivedanta Manor, which has been gifted by George Harrison to the devotees. So now ISKCON officially has a home in London. And Prabhupada is continuing to discuss these. He's meeting all the celebrities and he's talking about the different questions that they have. He's trying to convince the Christian missionaries and priests who are still, they say they are following their religion, but they are still killing, right? And that is one of the key point of Prabhupada, that, even though they say they're following Christianity, but they are not, because they are continuing to kill. So the slaughterhouse civilization, as Prabhupada used to call it, is continuing. Okay, so we'll continue from here and see what Prabhupada says next. So although Prabhupada willingly discussed with the Christians, he admitted privately that to argue with them was a waste of time. They will never agree, he said, even if they are defeated. The best way to preach to people in general was through the chanting of Hare Krishna, as at the Rath Yatra festival, chant, dance, take prasadam, and invite everyone to join. Anyway, he said, they don't even follow their teachings. One boy came to me and said he wanted to talk. He said, I'm a Christian. But I told him, you are not a Christian. Thou shalt not kill. A man from Calcutta came to see Prabhupada. But as soon as the man began to say something about Krishna, Prabhupada interrupted. Krishna is something very difficult to understand. We are just trying to understand that there is a next life. But the Christians, they say there is no future life, the man said. At the end of this one, you either go to heaven or hell. But if they talk about going to heaven, said Prabhupada, then there is the next life. But knowledge of Krishna is only for the most perfect out of thousands among men. A Mr. Kumar, who sometimes lived in the London temple, visited Prabhupada with many questions. He wanted to work for ISKCON, he said, but required money to send his mother in India. No, Prabhupada told him, our men work 24 hours a day without a farthing. Mr. Kumar suggested ways to improve ISKCON. The devotees needed to study more, he said, especially Sanskrit, and become scholars. Prabhupada disagreed. All we need is dedication, he said. I am not a great Sanskrit scholar, but I am pulling on, and even the scholars say it is good. My Guru Maharaj is Guru Maharaj. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was illiterate. Still, his disciple, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, was the greatest scholar of the day. But when Gaur Kishore spoke, it was exactly from the Shastra. Our principle is not to take time to learn something and become expert and then preach. But whatever you know, preach. Class in the morning, class in the evening. And if they read my books, that is sufficient. One day, the devotees brought Prabhupada a newspaper clipping in which an Oxford professor, Dr. D. Zainer, had said at a religion conference that Lord Krishna and his Bhagavad Gita teachings were immoral. Dr. Zainer had said that a famous murderer was perhaps influenced by the Bhagavad Gita because Krishna says that the soul is immortal, so one can therefore kill. Srila Prabhupada was disgusted at the professor's ignorance. On his morning walk, He dictated to his secretary arguments to use in writing to Dr. Zainer. George Harrison approached Prabhupada in a submissive mood similar to that of Prabhupada's disciples. Prabhupada and George took prasadam together, a special lunch of samosas, halwa, vegetables, sour cream, and puris. While they were enjoying the prasadam, Prabhupada mentioned that certain Vrindavan Pandas, professional guides at a holy place, eat too much. Once, one ate so much that he was practically dying, but he assured his son, "At least I am dying from eating and not from starving. To die of starvation is unglorious." Prabhupada smiled as he talked with George, gratefully acknowledging his donation of the manor. "Have you seen my room?" Prabhupada asked. "It is actually your house, but my room." "No," George protested, preferring the mood of a humble disciple. "It is Krishna's house and your room." When George confided to Prabhupada that by taking to Krishna consciousness he was losing friends, Prabhupada told him not to worry. He read to George from the Gita, where Krishna explains that he can be known only by devotional service. "In the future," said George, "ISKCON will be so large it will require executive management." Prabhupada, "I have divided the world into 12 zones with 12 representatives. As long as they keep to the spiritual principles, Krishna will help them." Before leaving, George assured Prabhupada that he would help him increase his temples. Later, Prabhupada commented, "George is getting inward hope from Krishna." One day, an old acquaintance dropped by, Allen Ginsberg, wearing denims, suspenders, and a faded shirt, and carrying a little Indian made harmonium. "You are still chanting Hare Krishna?" Prabhupada asked. "Yes," Allen replied. "I still chant Hare Krishna, but I also chant other things." Allen asked if Prabhupada would like to hear his chanting and playing. Prabhupada nodded. Allen began playing his harmonium and chanting Om. With each recitation of the word Om, his voice went deeper. Om. When the chant was over, Prabhupada began to laugh. "You can chant whatever you want to chant," he said, "but just keep chanting Hare Krishna. As long as you are chanting Hare Krishna, then everything else is all right." Prabhupada then allowed many devotees to join them for a big, blissful kirtana. Though George Harrison, another famous pop singer and musician, through George Harrison, another famous pop singer and musician, Donovan was drawn to come and see the renowned leader of the Hare Krishna movement. Donovan, accompanied by a musician friend and their two girlfriends in miniskirts, sat in awkward silence before Prabhupada. Prabhupada spoke. "There is a verse in the Vedas that says music is the highest form of education." And he began to explain how a musician could serve Krishna. "You should do like your friend George," Prabhupada said. "We will give you the themes and you can write the songs." Prabhupada said that anything, even money, could be used in the service of Krishna. "But money is material," Donovan's girlfriend interrupted. "What do you know? What is material and spiritual?" Prabhupada said. He turned to Donovan. "Do you understand?" Donovan humbly replied that he was thick-headed but trying. Donovan's girlfriend then leaned over and whispered something into his ear, whereupon Donovan stood up and said, "Well, we have to go now." Prabhupada insisted that at least they first take some prasadam. As soon as the guests left, Prabhupada and his disciples began to laugh. Prabhupada said, "She was thinking," and he encouraged his disciples to finish the sentence. "Yes," said Yogeshwara, "she was thinking that if Krishna gets him, then she will lose him." Prabhupada so much liked preaching to important guests that he wanted to continue doing so wherever he traveled. "Wherever I shall go now," Prabhupada wrote in a letter to a disciple, "this policy of important men being invited to talk with me about our Krishna consciousness movement should be implemented." A month passed at the manor, and still several weeks remained before Janmashtami and the deity installation. So when Bhagavan requested Prabhupada to come for a visit to Paris and install Radha Krishna deities, Prabhupada agreed. Paris, August 9, 1973. The devotees had arranged an official city hall reception for Srila Prabhupada. In the presence of the mayor of Paris and his government entourage, Srila Prabhupada said that if the government leaders do not teach the citizens genuine God consciousness, then they are not responsible leaders. Reporting this talk in the next day's paper, a news writer stated that the Swami even criticized Napoleon Bonaparte. Bhagavan, we had just moved into our new temple at 4 Rue-les-Sœurs, Paris, and we had received 48-inch Radha-Krishna deities. Prabhupada had Pradyumna chanting the mantras and pouring the substances on the deities, while Prabhupada himself looked on from his Vyasasan, giving directions. I was assisting, and at one point, I turned around and saw Srila Prabhupada standing right next to me, taking the substances in his own hands and smearing them over the lotus-like face of Srimati Radharani. After the deities were installed on the altar, Srila Prabhupada came up and offered the arati, and I assisted him by handing him the articles. After the installation, we went up to Srila Prabhupada's room and very anxiously requested him to please give a name for the deities. He sat back in his chair and said that the deities will be known as Radha, Paris, Ishvara, Ki Jai. He then went on to say that in India, people look to England for education and to Paris for sense gratification. He began to laugh and said that Krishna has come to Paris in order to get some gopis, some French girls, because the faces of the women in Paris are considered the most beautiful. Radharani is so beautiful, Prabhupada said, just like a Paris girl. And Krishna has come here to find out this most beautiful of all the gopis. So he is Paris Ishvara. Hari Bol. August 15, which is Indian Independence Day. Okay, Prabhupada returned to London, and the latest mail from India. A legal complication had arisen regarding the deed for ISKCON's land in Hyderabad. Prabhupada wrote his disciple Mahamsa, cautioning him to avoid becoming entangled in another Bombay affair. When Prabhupada also received word that the temple construction was progressing in Vrindavan, he replied, I am pleased to hear how you are completely absorbed in the project of our Vrindavan temple and taxing your brain how it can be carried out. I am also always praying to Krishna that he may give you intelligence to carry it out rightly. In a letter to a disciple in Hawaii, Prabhupada apologized for not replying to a letter. I am very busy in Bombay for the Juhu land of Mr. N. Now he is dead and gone, but he had created so many obstacles. Still, there is discrepancy. But I hope this will be squared up without delay. Writing to Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj in Bombay, Prabhupada was as attentive as ever to the ongoing troubles there. Although the devotees remained in possession of the land and had rebuilt their temporary temple, no purchase settlement was in sight. If Mrs. N is not going to sell us the land, then what next step we have to adopt? We fixed a criminal case against her for attempting to dispossess us from the land. And what happened to that case? The idea is that if she is not going to sell the land to us and at the same time does not return our money with damages and interest and occasionally tries to dispossess us from the land, then what steps we have to take? She has given so much trouble and botheration. And Prabhupada wrote to his disciples in Mayapur, yes, Mayapur construction must be completely finished before I return. The next time I come there, there must be no workers or carpenters with their tack-tack sound. I would have continued to stay in Mayapur, but the hammering sounds drove me away. When you are completely finished, I will go there. Otherwise, not. Prabhupada also answered dozens of letters from America, where the devotees were becoming more and more keen to distribute his books. Their letters contained very crucial questions that only Prabhupada could solve. How important was book distribution? Could the devotees abandon their robes and wear regular Western clothes to better distribute books in public? Was chanting on the streets more important than book distribution? What about taking buses and vans around the country? Could they travel with deities in the vans? The devotees generally mentioned their own viewpoint in their letters to Prabhupada, and yet they respectfully awaited his definitive reply. The Krishna consciousness movement was now big, with potential for growing much bigger, and within ISKCON, Prabhupada's will was so powerful that a single letter from him would establish a policy for years to come. Prabhupada appeared to be sitting quietly in his room at the manor, following his daily routine of bathing, eating, and meeting evening guests, yet at the same time, he was directing thousands of young men and women all over the world and sending them into action in the war against Maya. There is no objection to going in Western clothes in order to distribute my books. It is not necessary that we always wear the robes, but we should always keep shikha and tilak. However, a wig or a hat may be worn as you describe. We have to take whatever is the favorable position for executing Krishna consciousness. Do not forget our principles, but sometimes we may adopt such means in order to distribute books. Somehow or other, distribute books. And if you can impress people a little to chant, then it does not matter about your dress. The devotees continued to request clarification as to how far the ends justified the means in fulfilling Prabhupada's order to distribute books profusely. Srila Prabhupada, being free of any material motivation, could clearly see the Krishna conscious thing to do. Regarding the question you have raised about traveling Sankirtana parties and selling of books, yes, we want money. So that is the real preaching, selling books. Who can speak better than the books? At least whoever buys, he will look over. The real preaching is selling books. You should know the tactic how to sell without irritating. What your lecture will do for 3 minutes, but if he reads one page, his life may be turned. We don't want to irritate anyone, however. If he goes away by your aggressive tactics, then you are nonsense, and it is your failure. Neither you could sell a book, neither he would remain. But if he buys a book, that is the real successful preaching. That is the certificate of my Guru Maharaj. If someone, brahmachari, would sell a one paisa magazine, if one of our brahmacharis would go and sell a few copies, he would be very, very glad and say, "Oh, you are so nice." So, distribution of literature is our real preaching. Now, if you cannot handle the matter nicely, that is your fault. But the success of your preaching will be substantiated by how many books are sold. Anything you want to sell, you have to canvas a little. So, he gives some money for the service of Krishna. That is his good luck, and he gets the chance to read some transcendental knowledge. But if you only irritate and he goes away, that is your less intelligence. Prabhupada's instructions were so important to his disciples that a letter from him was as effective as a personal visit. By such letters, he maintained the lives and affairs of his disciples all over the world. Each day in the late morning, he would have his secretary read aloud each incoming letter, and usually he would dictate the answer without delay. He had often said that the Vani or order of the Guru was more important than the Vapu or personal presence. Thus, by his letters, he established and illuminated the path of Krishna consciousness for his sincere followers. In America, now Prabhupada's preaching was primarily through the distribution of his books, whereas in India it was through establishing temples. Yet, both methods were one and the same to him. And although his vision encompassed the whole world, he felt and described himself as only the humble servant of his spiritual master. Whether sitting peacefully on the lawn of the manor and teasing one of the little children, or directing one of his lieutenants to drop thousands and millions of books into the laps of the conditioned souls, whether meditating with great energy on the next phrase in the Srimad Bhagavatam purports, or worrying about Mrs. N was conspiring in Bombay, he always tried to serve his Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Okay, let's pause here for today, and we'll let Prabhupada meditate and serve on his Guru Maharaj, and we should also meditate and serve the instructions of our Guru Parampara. So we see again these nice exchanges that Prabhupada had with his disciples all over the world. Right? He said he had 12 zones and temples and centers all over the world. And one person, we think, what can I do? Right? That is the power of one, but the power of not just one, but the power of pure one, the purest one. Right? So Prabhupada being a pure representative and devotee of his spiritual master, by empowerment that he got through his purity, by following the instructions of his Guru Maharaj, he was empowered by the Acharyas, by the predecessor Acharyas, by the Lord to take on this mission of distributing it and liberating the conditioned souls. And these letters that he wrote, these are like even cherished and so wonderfully read. Even today we have these calendars of Srila Prabhupada's every day, daily calendar. The quotes, most of these quotes are from these letters that Prabhupada exchanged and he wrote to his disciples. So when we read those, quote for the day, every single day, it reminds us of how lovingly he was exchanging and sharing his thoughts and sharing his instructions with his disciples. And these letters were like kind of celebration, because these were like 1970s, right? There was no television, there was no internet, there was no any form of communication, telephones, etc. Right? So they were all mostly telegrams or handwritten letters. And every disciple who used to send a letter to Prabhupada was kind of a public affair. And Prabhupada's letter response used to come. It was not like a private response that Prabhupada used to send, right? And even though Prabhupada would say, written back to that particular devotee, but they would all come together and they will read, what Prabhupada had responded. So it was like a public celebration, kind of. Like in material world, we see, like I remember, for those whose parents are in armies, for example, when they would be in the battlefield and the letter would come, they will all sit together, right? Like that famous song that has Sandesh Aate Hain, Hame Tarfar, like something like that. So we can think, like this is 1970s, everybody huddling together and reading Prabhupada's response. And we are so blessed that, all of these letters, exchanges of Prabhupada's disciples have been documented. We have everything. Prabhupada's Vani, documented. Prabhupada's morning walks, Prabhupada's lectures, Prabhupada's letters, everything available for us. We just have to be sincere, take time to read. So many books Prabhupada has given us. Prabhupada says here, right? If we just read, our life will be turned. So we have to practice what we preach. That is very important. So and by coming together every day and with all these reading groups that we have, that we are starting, continuing to grow, we follow these instructions of Srila Prabhupada as he has given us here. Okay. Anybody else would like to share any of their personal reflections, realizations, or anything that we liked from today?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Hare Krishna, everyone. Very, very practical teachings by Prabhupada today to his disciples and to all of us in regards of, book distribution, what kind of clothes to wear. It's okay to wear Western clothes, just fit in to do the service in the best possible way we can do. Sometimes, all these questions we also think about. So hearing from Prabhupada was like all doubts cleared, that it is okay to gel into the public and do our mission to the best we can. Out external appearance doesn't matter as long as we are following the basics like Kanti Mala, Vaishnav Tilak, things like that. Also, I was the Prabhupada responded to Mr. Allen saying that whatever you are chanting, and that is okay, but keep chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. I was thinking, we all have seen when we try to preach, it is the most difficult task. So giving people sukriti, little seva here and there, and saying. Indirectly hearing Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, if not, they are not able to chant directly at this moment. All these things I think matter a lot and will eventually, bring them closer to Krishna. And also, like Prabhupada said, just keep chanting Hare Krishna and even though you're doing other things. So something like that, making people, making things easy for other people who are still not ready to commit, contribute fully into Krishna consciousness. So I was thinking about all this thing. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yeah, that's the principle of हमें कुछ छोड़ना नहीं है, हमें सिर्फ कृष्णा को जोड़ना है. Right, Prabhupada says, even while living in the materialistic society, doing your work, we have to just change the consciousness. So by adding Krishna into our life, everything else will be perfect. So thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay, anybody else would like to say anything? Jai Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Good to see you. Anything you'd like to share, Prabhu?
Oh, I really liked how Prabhupada said to his disciples that it is not necessary to wear the Vaishnava attire to be able to do big book distribution. The principle of it is just go and distribute no matter what the outer dress doesn't matter, the inner consciousness matters. And I was also inspired by how Prabhupada, no matter which corner of the world he is worried about, different zones, as you said, where the temples and the centers are coming up, and we struggle to manage one center, and here he is at age of above 70, managing like so many centers around the world. So I think the power is in the holy name. We just don't have enough taste and conviction in it. So thank you for wonderful reading, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's how we just take humble steps. Yeah, like following the footsteps. Like Prabhupada is telling us, giving us instructions. Just follow the instructions, and yeah, if we continue to do that, follow instructions of our Guru, Maharaj, Guru Varga, with their mercy, like we said, with these prayers, we're just praying humbly every day. If we just keep doing this, spending, it just takes us, yeah, of course, for those who are initiated, we chant 16 rounds, but for those who are not, wherever we are in our journey, we just chanting one round takes 6 to 8 minutes, 24 hours. If we at least should endeavor to give that much time to the Lord, that is He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we have to see if we can give 8 hours in our day to our bosses, to our work, can give, so much time to ourselves, to our family, to our friends, to the Supreme Person. We should have the supreme respect, that is being respectful to His position, And of course, we can have multiple different relationships, right? Like we say, so it's not necessarily only in awe and reverence. We can serve Krishna in the mode of friendship, in the mode of a friend, in the mode of parent or child, whatever mood. That is the rasa that Krishna is the only one who provides us that loving relationship in any form that we want to establish relationship with him. With all the other gods and demigods, it's only of awe and reverence, worship, attitude. But Krishna is so kind, merciful, compassionate that he exchanges with us in any rasa that we want to exchange with him. So that is his grace for us. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay. Anybody else would like to say anything? All right. Then we'll pause here for today. Thank you so much for your wonderful reflections, association, joining us every morning, taking your humble steps towards the Lord. Let's acknowledge everybody on this call and everybody around the world, all the Vaishnavas who are there, who are inspiring and teaching and guiding us on this beautiful path of bhakti. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitan Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Anantakoti Vaishnavrind ki jai Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit ki jai Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you very much.
Krishna.